Well, today I'm going to show you how to build an arch in the garden for virtually nothing. The only thing that I've paid any money for are the 4 posts that I'm hammering into the ground. Let me show you. So I'm building this new archway to accommodate some clematis that I've been given and also some beautiful honeysuckle. And I'm starting just here. So the first thing that I've done with my sledgehammer here, I've hammered in 4 posts. Now these posts were a couple of euro each, so the total expenditure is going to be less than €10 for this. These are all pieces of trees that I've been coppicing, namely birch and hazel. And what I've started to do is I'm tying these pieces of coppicing onto the posts. Now I'm just tying them on with some string to start with. I will then reinforce it, similar to this archway over here, with some garden wire later on. I want to get the whole thing into position first and be able to make adjustments easily enough. So let's crack on with it. So now I've got a long piece of hazel and I'm going to saw that to be more or less the same height as the piece of birch. I'm putting the hazel at the back and the birch at the front, and that's about the only symmetry or precision that I'm going to have in this rustic garden arch, because of course that's the whole beauty of a cottage garden, is that nothing is symmetrical and nothing is exact. It's more in line with the natural world. Okay, so I've got 3 of the uprights in place. So I'm putting the 2 birch at the front, and then at the back I'm going to put the 2 hazel. So I've got 1 piece of hazel in, and again they're just tied up. And yeah, it looks a bit wonky, I know, but wait until you see the finished design and the planting. So I have the 4 uprights in position, the 2 crossbars on the looking at the front, and the 2 crossbars looking at the side. Now I can start to fill it in before I do the final wiring. Right, now I'm going to have a break, going to have a cup of tea and maybe some toast and Marmite. I need to be regenerated. It's all those uplift, arm bits that I have to do. So it's pretty sturdy at this point in time. It's still a little bit movable, but you'll find with garden arches, if they can move a little bit in the wind and the storms, then they usually stay put. I think there's some kind of architectural knowledge about that, with the high-rise buildings and stuff, if they can move slightly in the wind. Yeah, anyway. So, I'll just show you. I've put in some side bits. If I go around at this angle, you can see them. Okay, and if I walk back to the path, then you'll see. And then this is the view from the veranda where I'm stood at the moment. Again, it's just visible, which is rather nice. I think it's going to look stunning, with the honeysuckle and the clematis on it during the summer. It's going to be a bit of a wow factor, I think. Well, rain stopped play yesterday, so I even left the string out there. But anyway, continuing today. So I've been out here working in the rain, and I'm just about to go into town to buy some garden wire because I've searched high and low and I can't find any. So far so good. A fair bit more to do. This is it. So I've managed to find a few little bits of garden wire, literally, you know, just around the garden. So that's working really well, to secure it and tie it all in. Let me just pull back here. There we go, that's better. What I have done, because I like to kind of work in layers rather than just the one task. So I've dug a good hole down here and I've planted the honeysuckle that my daughter had grown on for me. And I noticed when I was putting it in that there was a few roots had already become established because it was lying on the gravel. So I've sort of layered it along here, look, put some earth on top, there's a little bit coming out. So, still raining. So I'm pretty pleased with that thus far. And yeah, it's nice, and I mean, even though it hasn't been wired in, look, it's pretty sturdy. There's a little bit of a shape to it, but that's acceptable. And it'll be tighter as I go on. I've got lots of little bits to put in now, you know, little cross sections. Yeah. I'm actually very pleased with it. And whilst I've been outside working, I've got to say I've just come back in, so I'm a bit breathless. The little lady over there has just been keeping an eye on the back door for me, just to make sure that I come back in. Yeah. Not likely. She snuggled into my gilet. In other words, my body warmer. Yeah. So I had to go out without it on because she refused to move. And they say it's a dog's life. Who in heaven made that up? I mean, are you kidding? I'm exhausted. So just before I go into town, because I leave Patsy here, and I could be away about an hour and a half, what I do is I take her for a little dander. So we're just going for a wee walk around, let you see how things are looking today, because with each day there seems to be an ever-expanding spring. You know, little plants come up overnight, and I dare say the fairies are at work. When I'm making something, you know, creating something like this rustic arch, I like to keep going back to it and looking at it from different angles. Of course, it's not finished yet. Rain stopped play to a certain extent, but I'll be adding more and more pieces of wood to it and doing some nice little crisscross bits in it. So probably the weekend it'll be finished, I'd say. Well, depends. Depends on what it is I'm doing, and visitors and commitments and doing the post and so on and so forth. And of course, as usual, I'm multitasking. I'll show you what I've been doing in between building the rustic arch. I've been stacking wood. I had a lot of wood delivered from a friend of mine, and it's very wet. It needs to be seasoned. So it's dumped around the front of the cottage. I'm not showing you that just yet. And this is the beautiful Magnolia stellata. Do you see how I flit from one thing to another? Because there's so much to see. And actually, there's been so much rain as well. I'm going to take you down to the stream shortly. And just up along the steps as well, this beautiful rambling rose is coming to life. I sat outside this morning very early and listened to the first blackbird. You know, the blackbird sings a song. It's the first song of the day, and usually the last song of the day as well. So beautiful. I'm always shocked at how there are some people who are not in the least bit moved by nature. I get very emotional when I'm out in nature. I can't quite comprehend the beauty, and the beauty is infinite, and it's totally immeasurable. And you know, even if I never put up videos on YouTube, I would be continually snapping pictures and doing little snaps like this just to remind myself of how incredible nature is. There's been masses of rain fallen recently, and you can see there, by the way, there's sort of, what are they called, ripples in the sand. The sand has been washed out from rocks. There's a lot of sandstone around, and the stream has caught quite a lot of it. Now I've just noticed down here in the Imbolc garden, where the stream and the ponds are, that the beautiful camellia is in blossom. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Just stunning. Just stunning. And there's the beautiful Gunera coming up. The Gunera lives on this little island that I made for it. Just sort of at this end of the pond, as you can see. So it's sort of restrained. Now there are little clumps of Gunera here and there. This Gunera, see little clumps of it hither and thither? I planted that 19 years ago. So I don't know what all the nonsense is about the Gunera being invasive. I have a theory that says plants are invasive, but there's nothing else growing, because they can be invasive. Now, I noticed a question in the previous comments about these pink flowers, and what are they? Well, these are the flowers of the ribes, and I think the Latin name is Ribes sanguinum. There we go. Look at that. They're beautiful, aren't they? And they're one of the first flowers to come out to feed the wild bees, well, and the honeybees as well, but in particular the wild bees, the bumblebees. Look at all the spring colours, with the sap rising in the trees and the shrubs flowering. Look at the beautiful carrier over there. Let me see if I can get a wee close up. I'm holding on to Patsy at the same time as I'm filming, so if the camera suddenly jerks and shakes, you'll know it's a little girl pulling me along. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Carrier. And look at the beautiful blackthorn blossom. All these flowers will turn into sloes. Beautiful. It's all over the place this morning. Look at this. And up above me. No wonder the birds are singing. Well, just coming towards the end of this little video. It's always great if you like and subscribe, and or even just check that you are still subscribed, because it's quite often the case when people are knocked off their subscriptions for some mysterious reason I do not know. You'll find links to all the books that I write below this video and every other video. And enjoy the rest of the week. I know the weather has been very wet here in the west of Ireland, but it's still so incredibly wonderful just to be outside, just to be part of that explosion of spring. Blessings to you all.